What is going on, everybody? Yeah, that's Craig, and I'm back with movie number 10. We're gonna get to the 100 this year, and I appreciate those of you who are watching, the mighty few, but you know what? Screw it. I have fun doing it. So today's movie, admittedly, is sci-fi, not horror, but you know what? It's got Lin Shaye in it. Who doesn't love Lin Shaye? Even in a movie like this, Lin Shaye sort of stood out, even though her part was small, and I'm not sure how real she was, but we'll get to that. So the movie we're talking about today is the 2014 The Signal, and I am my rules for spoiling. Like I think if this movie's really good, I'll try to spoil as little as possible. This movie doesn't fall into that category. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with it. It does build some suspense, okay. Like you don't really know what's going on, and then the twist at the end, which I don't know. Maybe I'll spoil. Maybe I won't. I'll let you know when they'll say in the title. Was good, but the movie, everything else was unneeded. Like I'll tell you something that was unneeded. Like it centered around three main characters initially. Um, Nick, Jonah, and Haley. I believe Haley was the girlfriend's name. Nick and Haley were dating. Haley had to go away for a year. She was worried, can our relationship last, etc. If they go on a road trip, having as much fun as they could, sort of in between. Nick has MS for some reason. I'm not saying why does he have MS. I'm like the character. It doesn't. Considering what they did to Nick, they also did to the friend Jonah. The fact that he had MS really doesn't. It didn't need to be. So that was a weird choice in my opinion. But I guess they need a vehicle for Nick to want to break up with Haley because he didn't want her to have to deal with him in a wheelchair eventually, etc., etc. Which I don't know. Again, just that narrative. I don't know if it was needed for this. But randomly, there's a hacker that they messed with previously, almost got him kicked out of school, and the hacker starts messing with him back, logging into a laptop, showing them pictures of where they are, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna find you," and they set out to find them as they're taking Haley to wherever they got to go, and then eventually they find in Nevada, of course, you can imagine where they they find with the hacker's place, and it's empty. It's sort of looks abandoned, but then all of a sudden there's a scream. It's Haley, and what's going on? What's happening? Then all of a sudden she's thrown in the air. Everything sort of goes blank. Nick wakes up. He's in a hospital in a wheelchair, and his legs are covered. And it's obvious he can't stand. He can't feel his legs. But he never tries to look underneath the blanket. That'll be important. So, I will spoil that. So Lawrence Fishburne's interviewing him. You've been exposed to an alien. They show him a picture of something, and he's confused. He doesn't know what's going on. All of a sudden, he can't find his friends. He's not allowed to see them. But when he's walking through, when they're wheeling him through the hallway, he sees Haley in the bed. He hears his friend through the vent, and then all of a sudden, he's trying to escape. He's trying to figure out how to hack out of there. His friend's gone now. They're like, "Oh, your friend was never there," even though he knows he was. And he eventually tries to escape with Haley. He gets caught. And they bring him back in, and there's some big incident in the place, and then he tries to get out again. He finds out, he realizes he has metal robot legs all of a sudden, which they gave him these legs, which gave him eventually like superpower speed, and really strength, which is weird for the experiment that was taking place. And you might say, oh, he had MS, they gave him new legs. That makes sense. What's your problem, Craig? Because his friend Jonah, um, didn't have the problem, and they gave him alien arm technology, which allowed him to do a lot of damage to help his friends try to escape later on a little bit. And like Lawrence Fishburne is in the movie. Lin Shaye, when they escape, picks them up and drops them off somewhere, and then she's just some crazy preacher lady. And later on, when Lawrence Fishburne is investigating her, and he winds up killing her, if you think if based on the twist, we didn't need to see that because I don't know if it really happened, like if it was part of the grand thing taking place. So it's like they added stuff they didn't need to add, and then the very ending where they really were what the numbers and the tattoos, which I don't like the tattoos on the skin. That goes back to the Holocaust stuff, and there should be some sensitivity, I think, with something like that. I know people complain, say, sometimes don't be so sensitive, and believe me, I'm not, but you could do something other than tattoos on the list. Even if you put the tattoo on the neck, it's not gonna you're not gonna think of the Holocaust, but like it's just I don't know. It's a sci-fi movies usually are a little confusing, puzzling. They usually whoever writes a sci-fi movie typically thinks they're smarter than everyone else, and I think some of the things you saw you need to see, like High Tension, not sci-fi, horror movie I love. That scene, I won't spoil the ending in that, but that scene with the trucker looking at them and what he did with the head, that was in someone's, that, you know, it's like that. Things that wouldn't have really happened, but they show us as the audience, as the third party. I just realized I'm going over the 5 minute mark. You know what? It's okay. We won't go on to 6, but over 6. But this whole thing, like, it was so many. It was a cool idea. They did some interesting things with it. So technically, I will give this a 5 out of 10. Like, it's worth a watch. Lin Shaye, the crazy woman, Lawrence Fishburne, as what he was, where they actually were in the grand scheme of things, makes it a 5 for me. But 5 typically means I don't regret watching, and I might watch again. I don't know. Maybe if it's the only thing on TV, and I only have one channel, and I lost the control, and it's right at night, I might keep it on. But that said, movie number 10. So we're on pace. If we do at least 9 a month, we're going to excel to 100. So movie number 10, The Signal, gets a 5 out of 10. And it really only gets 5 out of 10 because of Lin Shaye. If Lin Shaye wasn't in it, it probably would be under. Thanks, everybody. Please recommend the movie in the comments. Peace.